So it's the last week before we get some new cards, and whilst we wait for those, I'm giving a tribe that goes a little under the radar a big chance in Standard today. Hey everyone, Hex here, and today we're playing some Clerics on the best of one Standard ladder. But before we get going, and as always, I really appreciate your support for this channel, and if you haven't yet, go ahead and click the subscribe button below as we go into the Brothers War era with tons of new cards and decks I'm super excited to showcase. But today, I really want to give Clerics a good go. I was very surprised how well it performed today. Even when I was under pressure, I was always just one land or a creature away from winning, so give it a chance and see how you get on too. The main creature we're building around is Shadow Rite Priest, a 2-drop 2/2 Cleric Lord that gives all other Clerics +1/+1, and for 5 and tap, you can sack another Cleric and choose any black creature from your deck and put it on the battlefield. Here you can go whatever direction you like, but I'm opting for one of 2 creatures. We're going to be getting a Toxrill, our 7/7 giant slug that is perfect against huge board states or tokens. It puts slime counters on opposing creatures in each end step, and then all creatures you don't control get -1/-1 for each slime counter upon them. When a creature dies, you get a slug which you can then sack to draw a card. The other creature we could find is Dusk Mangler. When this creature ETBs, your opponent must sack a creature, discard a card, and lose 4 life. This creature may be the go-to target if our opponent is bearing down with a Titan or something like that. We do run some Sheoldreds too. They're really excellent against opponent Sheoldreds to counter their triggers, and everyone seems to be running them, so you could tutor one of these out too if necessary. Cleric wise, we have some Evolve Sleepers. Now these start as humans, but you can level them up to Clerics. This card absolutely overperformed today in the face of blue decks and board wipe tribal, so it just seems to do so much whenever you draw this in your game. We have Lunarch Veterans, which gain us a life each time another creature enters the battlefield. Elas, il-Kor is a 2/2 Cleric with Death Touch that says whenever another creature ETB is under our control, you gain a life. And finally, Voice of the Blessed. Now this card used to be really popular in life gain decks, so you probably know how good it can be, but with all the incremental life gain we get in this deck, including from Sheoldred, it's a must include. Important to note, this isn't a life gain deck, but the small amounts we do get does boost this particular creature greatly. Our other Cleric is Anointed Peacekeeper. I've played this card so much recently as it's a house. It's a 3/3 Vigilant Cleric that when it ETBs, we get to look at the opponent's hands and tax one of their cards by 2. Don't even need to name a card that they have in their hand. We could name any card they could potentially draw, and we'll also get to play around their spells knowing what they've got. It's so powerful when it's boosted by the Shadow Rite Priest too, as it becomes a 4/4 and then can just win games on its own. Interaction wise, we've got some Infernal Grasps and Destroy Evils. These are must-have cards at the moment for Haughty Djinns, Sheoldreds and Fables, and we've gone for 24 lands, including some blue for our slug sacking. You could play the life gain land too for some added life gain triggers, but I really wanted to reduce tap lands and get stuff on the board early. Anyway, this deck was awesome today, and I hope you enjoy the games I played with it. Alright, on the draw here. And yeah, this hand looks pretty good actually. We've got the Evolve Sleeper on turn 1, turn 2 over the Grasp Voice, or even a pump in the Evolve Sleeper. Now I went for the Koilos here because this gives us the option to play Voice of the Blessed next turn. If I just put down a Swamp, we wouldn't be able to do that. Opponent with Intrepid Adversary. So we drew a Lunarch Veteran. We've got options here. I mean, we've got tons of options. Kind of want to play the Voice of the Blessed with some value. So the value would be if that comes down with a Lunarch Veteran on the battlefield already. So I've played the Lunarch Veteran there. No point attacking. I don't really want to lose this sleeper at the moment. I'm going to put it back on defense. Opponent with a Peacekeeper. So probably on some kind of mono white deck. The adversary suggests maybe a tokeny style deck, but we'll see how this goes. Next turn we get to play the Peacekeeper ourselves, or Voice. We'll see what they name. They name our Peacekeeper. That's fair enough. It's kind of pushing us into wanting to use the Infernal Grasp on the Peacekeeper there. But we've got a while here. We'll see what we need to do. So we'll evolve our Sleeper here. This now becomes a Cleric. So that is a key point. We do take a damage from our Caves that we had to play early on. We draw Elas, il-Kor. So that would be another trigger onto the Voice of the Blessed. So that's definitely something I like the look of here. Let's play our Swamp first so that we don't take damage off the Caves. Yeah, we can drop this. We can take a little bit more damage. If we can get this Voice down and get it flying, then we can just fly over these threats. I guess the annoying thing about this adversary is the life gain more than anything, as opponent plays a Serra Paragon. Nothing in the graveyard yet though, so they can I guess that's why they're attacking with this adversary. They want us to block. They want to then cast it again from the graveyard next turn. I do want to block those. I do want to stop the opponent from constantly gaining 3 life each turn. And the sleeper was kind of not really doing much at that moment. Now their Paragon is annoying that it's going to be able to play that again from the graveyard. We do have an Infernal Grasp in our hand though, so we can deal with that Paragon if we wanted to. And I think that's the best option. Get that off the battlefield, and then we can now play our Voice of the Blessed with the 2 triggers from the Veteran and the Elas il-Kor. So this is already a 4/4, so this can block the Peacekeeper. And we'll just stay on defense here. Still waiting for the opponent to kind of tell us what they're playing. If they're just playing a sort of mid-range white deck, using the Paragon as a value to bring back these adversaries, we should be okay. Opponent does get in with the Peacekeeper. I'm going to block here, get this off the battlefield. This will allow us to play our own Peacekeeper next turn. And the Death Toucher kind of did its job there with helping the Voice of the Blessed get pumped. Before we play a Peacekeeper, let's just drop our Lunarch Veteran. So we'll give it another trigger for the Voice of the Blessed. And we can play our double land there so that we're not taking any extra damage from Caves of Koilos. Now, just debating what to name. So we could obviously name the Paragon or the adversary. I do go for the adversary to just kind of slow them down. If they want to play that Paragon, they're going to waste their whole turn doing so. And our Voice is now a 7/7 flying vigilance, so kind of like where we are here. The Peacekeeper's really giving us a bit of a tempo advantage here. Opponent does go for the adversary. They can only pay to pump it once though. And they get in there with their 5/3. I mean, this is a strange attack because our Voice had Vigilance, so not sure if the opponent saw that or if they just want the 5 life gain and just block that. I was a bit unsure as to what the opponent was trying to achieve there, but whatever. We draw a Sleeper. I mean, that's pretty good because we can just start pumping our mana into that each turn. A few more triggers onto the Voice of the Blessed here. And yeah, we're not necessarily a life gain deck, but the Veteran's incremental life gain really does help this Voice of the Blessed become a monster, and at the moment it's a 9/9. Opponent with a Paragon, I guess that could block. They still can't play the adversary from the graveyard as it's taxed, and the only thing they can play is this Hopeful Initiate. And yeah, just attacking us with a 4/2. I mean, yeah, I mean, I don't really understand what they were doing, but we got the victory. Nice little victory there. All right, on the play here, a couple of Shadow Rite Priests and an Infernal Grasp. Not the absolute ideal opening hand, but it's a definite keeper with these Priests. We do have 4 mana, so hopefully we can get these down, build up a mana base, and then find one of our big boys, Toxrill, or our Dusk Mangler, opponent with Spara's Headquarters. So it could be a couple of different decks here, maybe Planeswalkers or token style deck. And they follow it up with the Plains and Dennick, so it's a pretty good turn 2 card, I find. But yeah, let's have a look in their hand. And alright, so Touch the Spirit Realm, Catilda, and Farewell. Still not entirely sure what they're trying to do, so it's difficult to be completely sure about what to name. Sometimes I like to name a card that isn't in their hand, but I guess whatever we name, they're going to use Touch the Spirit Realm anyway, so I think it's best to name that card right now. Farewell is something we've got to deal with on turn 6, so I won't overextend too much. Opponent with their 3rd mana, and borrow time. Alright, so they found another prison style effect. So they're probably some kind of enchantment based deck. As we draw a Sheoldred. Now that is a good card. Unfortunately, the Touch the Spirit Realm can deal with that quite well. So I'm just going to name Touch the Spirit Realm again with this new Peacekeeper we are playing. And keep attacking our opponent. Dennick's life gain is a bit annoying here. But as you see, our Peacekeeper is a 4/4 now. So it's a really sort of massive card actually that the opponent has to deal with. They play a Catilda. Well, we have an answer for that in our hand. So we draw a Swamp. So we could now sack our Shadow Rite Priest, sack our Peacekeeper to find one of our big black creatures in our deck. But I think that would be a bit of a waste. I think it's best that we play the other Priest, which boosts this one up to a 3/3 and attack the opponent for 8. They're already down to 12. They do find their 5th mana though, so they are going to be able to farewell next turn. And they finally get a chance to touch the Spirit Realm, our Peacekeeper here. We draw a Lunarch Veteran. I mean, that is a nice card, but it's not something I really want right now. I mean, if we were to play these creatures in our hand, although we'd have a really good board state, the opponent is just gonna exile everything. So he's gonna go to attack, so we're gonna wipe the opponent for 6. If they're gonna wipe the board anyway, then we might as well get some damage through. They take 3, get 2 back, go back up to 11. Okay, there's Otawara as a land, so expecting a farewell. Okay, but opponent plays Dennick instead. Okay, and a Circle of Confinement. So they did find an answer for one of our priests, but that's not a problem at all. We draw a land though, which is great. We do get to have the luxury here of playing our Lunarch Veteran and then sacrificing it through the Shadow Rite Priest at the opponent's end step to find an answer for whatever is on the board at that point. It's an instant speed effect, which is pretty nice. So no attacks here, we just pass the turn, see what they want to do. Again, if they want to exile the board, they're going to lose their own creature. They attack us for 3 in the air. Nothing I can do about that. So we're down to 13 now. Again, they just pass the turn. Alright, well this allows us to finally use Shadow Rite Priest's ability. Opponent does get a clue out of that. Throw down Toxrill onto the battlefield, and okay, a Leyline Binding to deal with Toxrill here. So they were just sandbagging that. So yeah, definitely some kind of board wipe, synergy, enchantment deck the opponent has. So I'm not really sure how they end up winning the game, but just get rid of all our resources is their plan. But we do get to play the Luminous Phantom from the graveyard, and we can just do the same thing as we did last turn in the opponent's next turn. They do draw through the clue though. Just holding back on this Sheoldred. I mean, it's just no need to play it right now. Okay, another enchantment. It's borrowed time again. So they're going for our priest, so we're just going to do what we did last time. I really want them to fire off this farewell, because it's really causing me a slight problem in this game. So on this game, I didn't have Dusk Mangler in my deck. It was after this game that I decided to put it in there, because that would have been great in this particular instance. Opponent would have had to get rid of their Dennick, and then they would have taken 4 life and discarded. So that's why this particular one doesn't have the Dusk Mangler. Yeah, and Toxrill on the battlefield as a 7/7 is pretty good. Okay, opponent with Depopulate. So all the removal. We do get an Involved Sleeper. Now this card is going to be fantastic here. I mean, are they going to want to use one of their big board wipes on a 1/1? Who knows? We'll find out. They are on 11. Okay, there's Hallowed Haunting. So that's their win condition. They're up to 6 enchantments here. So as long as we can try and keep them off 7, but there's not much we can do here. So we can just evolve up our creature, get it to a 4/4, draw a card, and another Evolved Sleeper. All right, so this is really nice now. And just keep evolving our sleeper. So we draw a land. Go to attack, see what they want to do. Probably should have, well yeah, we drew the priest. We should have leveled it up before we attacked, because obviously we would have wanted to have played the priest there to get an extra damage through, as the priest does boost our other clerics. But we get to play it now anyway. Opponent have priority, and it's a Geistlight Snare, so it's just a counter spell. Okay. Well, opponent's down to... okay, another board wipe. Did populate this time. I mean, opponent's down to 5. I can see what's in their hand. It's just a farewell. They have this Catilda in the graveyard. And we draw a Destroy Evil. I mean, that is going to be game over, isn't it? So we can just play a creature now. Probably, well, definitely the Sleeper. I do want to try and make it so that we can win next turn. I actually want them to use their farewell this turn. That's how we win the game, if they want to put all their mana into their farewell. Could have played anything here, to be honest, as long as I kept 2 mana open for the Destroy Evil. Yeah, and there's farewell, which is fine by me. Does kind of tap the opponent out. They've got 1 mana open, and we can just destroy evil one of these enchantments here. And yeah, I'm looking for the one with Toxrill. At the end of the day, this is just going to be a 7/7. Opponent's on 5 life, and this should be a victory. So Destroy Evil was excellent there, but I think the best card we had was the Evolved Sleeper. An opponent takes lethal. Alright, on the play, with a couple of Elas il-Kors. They are legendary, so that's not ideal. But I mean, we have the Destroy Evil, so we'll keep this, and Sheoldred as well. Sheoldred is primarily in this deck as a way to deal with other opponents' Sheoldreds. The Invoke Despair and Sheoldred combo is pretty nasty to play against, so I've been just using Sheoldred as a way to make sure that we get life gain and don't lose too much life ourselves. So we played the Elas il-Kor and the Evolved Sleeper, and we could just evolve this through the next few turns, which is nice. Opponent with Rafine. Okay. So we'll just evolve our Sleeper here. And I mean, one of the reasons Destroy Evil is in this deck is to deal with Rafine. And luckily we can pay the ward cost. So yeah, it does take up a whole turn, but that not being on the battlefield is pretty good, and we get to attack the opponent for 4. And they play a Thalia. Can be annoying. Denick, which I find really annoying. Its stats are just irritating at the beginning of the game. But let's have a look to see what the opponent's playing with. Okay, so Sheoldred, Rathadrabric, and Jeddah. So they're obviously a legend style deck using Rathadrabric. I'm going to slow them down with the Sheoldred. I'm presuming they're going to play their Rathadrabric, but I'd rather them play that than Sheoldred, so we'll just pass the turn. We did miss a land drop, which is really irritating. And there's the Rathadrabric. So we've got to find a way to get through this. This is going to be a tough one. Luckily, we kind of know what's in their deck, as this deck is, although not too popular, it's just a load of legends, really. Opponent with the Plaza. Again, another card we just need to be wary of. They do finally get to pay for their Sheoldred as we draw lands. So yeah, just want to hit our land drops. And the 2 Sheoldreds here are going to kind of counter each other, so that's pretty cool. And we get to play Voice of the Blessed. So right now my plan is to get Voice of the Blessed high enough so it can fly over everything and use the ground creatures as just sort of big blockers there. And it's Jeddah. Okay, so they're down to 1 card. They do have that Plaza in their hand, which is, or in their mana base, which I'm probably going to need to at some point find a way of them using it. Okay, and go to attacks, and they're attacking with their Sheoldred. Well, okay, well, we're on 24, so we'll just take that and go back down to 20. Seems good. Okay, it was an Urtai Resurrected that was holding priority. Okay, so they get to destroy one of our creatures. I mean, that's a little bit irritating. I wonder what they take, though. I wonder if they can see what we're trying to do. Okay, they've gone for Voice of the Blessed. I mean, yeah, sure, that's a good one. I think Sheoldred might have been a good target as well. We draw our Infernal Grasp. And yeah, we'll just let this all do its thing and then evolve our sleeper. Yeah, we're under no real pressure right now. The two Sheoldreds cancel each other out. And we get to play our Veteran. Now, the Thalia taxing our Infernal Grasp is slightly irritating. So we aren't going to attack. We do let them untap. That was probably a slight misplay there, as I could have killed the Rathadrabric before they untapped and have that plaza available. They only had the 1 mana open. There's no point in killing any of their other creatures, as they're just going to come back. So yeah, I target the Rathadrabric here, pay the ward costs, and I could have done this last. I should have done this last turn, but these things happen. Yeah, they're going to fire off their Plaza of Heroes to save their creature. Alright, so that was all a bit unnecessary, but here's what it is. Two Sheoldreds cancel each other out as well. And yeah, get to evolve our sleeper. And the Shadow Rite Priest, I mean, that's really nice, because that means we can next turn sacrifice one of our creatures here and find one of our big boys. So we'll just hold fire and we'll just see if the opponent can deal with our Shadow Rite Priest. Fingers crossed they can't. I'm a little bit wary of this Urtai Resurrected dying through Rathadrabric and getting us, with the Rathadrabric bringing it back out of the graveyard. So it's definitely something that I'm sort of considering here. But the second Shadow Rite Priest is nice because we can keep doing the same thing for the next couple of turns. Okay, so let's activate our Priest. And we'll sacrifice our Lunarch Veteran here. Opponent loses a life, and yeah, we get to find our Toxrill or Dusk Mangler we want. Dusk Mangler will not be too great in this particular instance, although it will make them lose 4 life. But we'll play Toxrill here, and we'll just play out our other Priest, and we'll just see how they want to get on. We can even find another Toxrill next game. And yeah, hopefully this can just clear the board. This is such a good card to find when the opponents have loads of creatures on the battlefield. So many triggers going on, so much stuff happening. The Urtai dying is going to be a slight issue, but opponent scoops it up before we get to see what happens there. Alright, on the play, I mean, we have Dusk Mangler and Toxrill in my hands. I really don't like mulliganing on the play, but I don't think I can keep this. This is much better. And, I mean, we've got 2 removals in our hands, so probably best to get rid of one of those. Keep the land. Let's get rid of our Destroy Evil, as that has limited targets early on. So with this Shadow Rite Priest and this Lunarch Veteran, my goal here is to just keep hitting our land drops and then sacrifice this Veteran through our Priest and take it from there. Opponent on enchantments, as we draw a 3rd Infernal Grasp. Alright, so next plan is to just keep using our Infernal Grasp, it seems. Hit the opponent down to 14. So whatever creature they're going to play, I'm just going to keep blowing up. It's a wedding announcement. Okay. So we do draw our 4th land. I'm just going to keep doing the same thing. Keep their threats off the battlefield. Keep knocking down their life. If we can get it down to about 4, then we can find our Dusk Mangler to win us the game. And we do have the Infernal Grasp now if they want to play a big creature here. So yeah, we're just 1 mana off winning this, I think. Opponent with a Spirited Companion. And Wedding Announcement. Alright, so Toxrill here is going to be excellent. Okay, no land, just Sheoldred. That would have been the absolute perfect time to draw a 5th mana. But let's not complain too much about Sheoldred on the battlefield. I absolutely need both these creatures here, though, to fulfill our sort of combo, so I cannot really attack. I don't really want them to kill the Priest. Opponent with Borrowed Time, and they're going for Sheoldred. Alright, so they're not concerned about us hitting our 5th mana. And we just draw an Evolved Sleeper. Alright, so this is getting a little bit annoying now. Opponents got a bunch of 2/2s. Still haven't found that mana drop, as they find their 5th land. Guess we can start drawing off this sleeper if we need to. And there's Catilda. Okay, look, I'm glad we got this Infernal Grasp still in our hand. Do they want to get in there with their 2/2? See if they want to draw a card or if they want a... well, actually, the wedding announcement's already become a wedding festivity, so that won't matter. Yeah, let's just deal with this 5/5. And Sheoldred. I mean, that's not the worst card. I probably should have attacked first before I played Sheoldred and see what they wanted to do. Because if they went down to 5 life, Sheoldred would just knock them down to 1 life. But yeah, and we could have also pumped our mana into our Evolved Sleeper, so definitely should have played Sheoldred post-combat. I go down to 6. So a few little misplays by me here, but we have kind of been a little bit hamstrung by the lack of mana. His opponent has a Jukai Naturalist. And there's Catilda from the grave, so this is now a real problem here. And just a Shadow Rite Priest, so I don't think we can get out of this. Our opponent has a 7/7 flying lifelinker. Yeah, I just don't think there's any outs. They're going to hit us for 7 next turn, and we don't really have any attacks either. So this has been a really frustrating game here. Hiding my frustrations that we haven't got our 5th mana, but these things happen. I mean, I would love to have played Toxrill there on turn 5. And opponent with 2 enchantments, which is going to... Oh, and Machigo as well. Alright, so... yeah, we are definitely dead there. So we will concede defeat and move on. Alright, on the play, with a fairly good hand, we have a turn 1 play. Very important if you're in the play, I think. Either a turn 1 play or a tap land. Opponent with an island, right? So you've got to always assume it's one of these sort of Haughty Djinn tempo decks. Whether they're mono blue or blue and red, seems pretty popular at the moment. Go to attacks. Okay, so there's the opponent has priority over something. Gonna play the other planes here. 2 reasons. One is we hide what we're doing. And secondly, if we draw a if we draw the Voice of the Blessed, we get a chance to play it. And we'll attack our opponent with our veteran. Yep, I'm just going to dump this Peacekeeper on the battlefield. If this sticks, this is going to be pretty good. If it doesn't, at least we get a counterspell at their hand. Alright, and it does. They don't have a counterspell. A couple of Fading Hopes, a Haughty Djinn, and the Tolarian Terror. And there's the counterspell, so flip the switch. It's not one you generally see in these kind of decks. But we'll name Fading Hope. And if they want to play that next turn, it's going to take up their whole turn. And then we'll just play it again the following turn. So, interesting game here. Opponent with their 3rd island. And they just pass the turn. So, clearly going to use that Fading Hope. Unfortunately, we don't draw a creature. I would love to have drawn a creature there because it would have forced them to either counter it or Fading Hope our Peacekeeper. Play the land first. Give the opponents reason to believe that we might have a follow-up spell, and it's just a Fading Hope on our Peacekeeper in our end step. Fair enough. We do have Destroy Evil and Infernal Grasp in our hands, so I feel pretty happy. There's the Haughty Djinn, and we're just going to Destroy Evil that. Yeah, they can Fading Hope that back to their hands, but we have a 2nd copy in our hand. So against these Haughty Djinn decks, having 2 removals, using 2 removals instead of 1 is always better. We draw a Elas il-Kor, which is lovely as it's a 2-drop, which means we can double spell against this mono blue deck, which gotta be a good thing here. And we get to look in their hand as well. A couple of terrors and a couple of flip the switches. Well, I'm not planning on playing any more spells, so we'll name Tolarian Terror. We have Infernal Grasp, we absolutely have to deal with that. And we can knock the opponent down to 13. This Lunarch Veteran's done pretty well. they just draw a land and play it. So they play the lands, we can see their hand. I'm not going to play any spells into their counter magic, and they can't afford the terror. And Fading Hope our Peacekeeper back to our hand. Okay. I mean, that's the card I want in my hand, as we can just pretty much have another look in their hand. Now they name the terror. We can just deal with that straight away. And we draw a second Peacekeeper. Alright, so I'm not really sure there's any hope here. Don't have to name these Tolarian terrors, but they're the things that are in their hand. I was thinking about whether to name maybe a card draw spell instead. But nope, name the Tolarian terror and win us the game. So thanks for watching. This really was so much fun to play with today. I did try this out early in the season, but it got run over a lot of times. However, today it does seem pretty competitive. The MVPs definitely were the Evolved Sleepers and Anointed Peacekeepers. These cards are just so good, and luckily they are Clerics too. Feel free to subscribe for future videos as we enter the Brothers War age, and I'll speak to you again very soon.